And you are go.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. As you know, we're going to go over Studio, which is our new um, video hosting solution for JSU. We're leaving Kaltura and moving to Studio. So we've done this session a few times, and just so you're aware, every time we run it, it takes roughly 50 to 55 minutes. So I'm going to be conscious of that and conscious of your time. If at any point I say something that you don't understand or need me to elaborate a little on or just have general questions, let me know. I will try to take natural pauses as we go through the different topics that we're discussing and see if any of you have any questions. Also, if you think of something and you can't wait until the end of that section and you just need something we're talking about now, feel free to drop it in the chat. And if I don't see it, Dr. Emmons going to be monitoring the chat and he'll get my attention and we'll discuss that before we move on too much further. All right, so without delaying any longer, let me go ahead and get my screen share set up. And I will turn my camera off as well because you're more interested in seeing the content on the screen more so than watching me. All right. So can someone confirm that we're seeing my Canvas shell with Studio up?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll jump right in, and this is just a training shell that I've got set up that had Studio enabled. Now you all have Studio enabled. It's enabled at the global level. So there's a couple different ways to get to Studio. You can get to it no matter where you are. You can get to Studio right here. It's this TV. It looks like an octopus. Has octopus legs coming off of it, and this will take you into your actual Studio content. Another way that you can do it is if you are in any Canvas shell and you have Studio enabled in your nav bar, you can get there and get to the same place. And we'll work off from this area. They're the same thing. By default, it takes you into your course level, and I'll discuss that a little bit more detail as we go, but it takes you to your course level. But if you needed to get to your global level, you can do that as well by going to my library. And we'll discuss that organization in just a little bit uh, as we get going. So first thing I want to do, so we showed you how to access Studio. We'll now go over the interface. And if anyone has used Screencast-O-Matic before and you're familiar with that tool, then you're already familiar with Studio because they're built off the same software architecture. It's actually running the same Screencast-O-Matic engine. It just uploads your content directly into Studio, which is integrated into Canvas, so that works a little smoother for us. All right, so the way that we would want to get custom content into Studio is if we're at this level, whether you access Studio here or you access it here, either way, and you want to add content in Studio, there's a couple ways of doing that. One, we can just go to record. And then we've got screen capture and webcam capture. Screen capture will give you the most options. So I will show you that. Go to screen capture. And the first time when you launch Studio, you're going to see this pop up. It asks you to open Screen Recorder Launcher. That's just the app. The first time, if either of you have never opened Studio before, the first time you open it, you're actually going to get this screen. I've already installed Studio, so I'm just going to wait a second, and the application should load here. Um, so the first time you go to launch Studio, you'll get this screen, you'll download the application, and then you'll be able to access Studio. And we haven't had any problems that I'm aware of where people are having to contact IT or anything like that. So I think you're going to be okay with that. But notice mine, even though I know it's installed, it did take it a minute for the application to launch. If I know I've already installed Studio, I've already used Studio, I don't want to hit that download button again because the application's already there. It's just taking just a second to load in the background. So now once we have Studio up and running, and as I said, if you're familiar with Screencast-O-Matic, this should look very, very familiar to you because it's really the same. It's the same thing. It's the same engine. If you're not, that's perfectly okay as well. We'll go over what this is. So as you can see, it says recorder will record anything that happens in the frame. That doesn't mean you're locked into this. We have settings that we can change. We can change our size. We can scale it down. We can make it our active window. We can make it full screen. If we decide we don't want that, then we could go back to this. You can also click and drag, and you can make it a custom size if you would like to do that for any reason. Personally, for me, I always record full screen unless maybe I'm doing something and I want to make it an evergreen video where I'm not dating it for any reason, or I don't want students to see, oh, I was recording it at midnight or something like that. Um, I may do something like this and drag it out where it's the majority of the screen, but I may cut out uh, my bottom bar right here. But that's your preference. That's up to you. So once we've got the settings the way we want it, we can also choose, once we've got the screen settings the way we want it, we can also choose which microphone we're using. If we have multiple microphones connected, we can choose whether or not we want to capture audio. This if you're running a PowerPoint or doing a video within your screen capture video. And then you can choose your webcam as well. Um, if you have multiple webcams connected, this is where you would choose which one you want to be recorded. And unlike Kaltura, what this will do, if you go to the both setting, it's going to record a picture-in-picture, and it's going to be a burn-in. So it's wherever you define this box, and you've got some options there to define where your webcam box goes. You guys can play through with that. I'm not going to click it a ton because I don't want to freak the computer out because it's currently Teams currently has my webcam captured. Um, so I don't want to play around with that and risk messing something up where I'm trying to make two pieces of software use the same hardware. But you can play around with that. But just know that whatever it looks like here on your recording is what it's going to look like for the students. The students don't have the capability of changing to make one full screen and or the other or move those around. So this is a little different. And the reason I wanted to show you the screen record setting because it gives you all of these features. If we just went into the record webcam, it's only going to show you this part. We're not going to see these other things here. So if you just wanted to record yourself or record a demonstration, you could record it from the webcam or you could get it from right here. Either way you want to do that. So that's the way that we'd record custom content. Before I move on, I do want to point out one other thing, that when we record, you'll also want to give it a unique name. That way you'll be able to find it easily. We also, through our testing, haven't had some of the issues where videos got lost like they did in Kaltura. But should that issue ever come up and one of us needs to go in on our admin side and help you find a video that you recorded, it's going to be in your best interest to name it something that's unique instead of letting the computer name it. That way you'll be able to say, yes, I created a video at this time and it's called this. Can you help me find it? And then us as admins, we would be able to find that a little bit easier than it just being some random hexadecimal code. So once we've set that up, we've named it, and you would go through the upload process and it will load into Studio and you'll be able to use it from there. Before I move on, do we have any other questions about that part of the interface before I move on to the next section? Okay. All right. Another way, if you are wanting to get content in, you can add content through this. So let's say I've already got something pre-recorded. Maybe I did use Screencast-O-Matic, or maybe I used some other piece of software and I had recorded myself or recorded a presentation or whatever that is, and I didn't want to record it through my webcam or through a screen capture. It's pre-recorded content outside in another entity. Maybe it's an MP4 file or something like that. I would click this add button, and then I would take that file. I can drag and drop it here. I can do a browse files, and I can find wherever I've saved it, and I can upload it directly into Studio there as well. So it doesn't have to be recorded natively into Studio. You can also, as you see, you can also paste YouTube or Vimeo links right here. Do know that there is a bit of a bug um, with pasting the links in. Um, the the problem is that you can't caption the media. It doesn't pull in that caption data from YouTube or Vimeo. So you may want to take the YouTube Vimeo link, whatever it is, and put it directly into Canvas as opposed to using this. The negative is you lose some analytics that you would be able to see if student X watched the video. The positive is that you can retain that accessibility because it would maintain the link that's coming from YouTube there. With that, we're going to jump into accessibility and talk about captioning. So let me grab one of these videos. As you say, this is my testing instance, so I've got duplicates and things like that where I've done uh, multiple sessions. So here's one that's not been captioned. So if I wanted to caption video, let me back out and just show you what I did. So I've got this video. It does not have captions. We're wanting to use it within our course, so we need to make it accessible and we need to caption it. Just click in the video and it goes into this editor. Go to captions and it shows that there are no captions ordered. The easiest way to add captions is to request captions and it will do a machine caption. We can tell it what language is spoken and request. Now it's processing. You will receive an email when this is completed. We're not going to wait around on it. Obviously, it usually doesn't take that long depending on the length of the video, but it will show processing until it's completed that request. Then you'll get an email. You can come back in. And when we come back in, let's find one that does have captions on it. I think this one does. It does. So we come back in and we will see manage captions. Looks like this. It shows I've already got a caption ordered and it's already on it. We can click these three vertical dots and we can actually edit those captions. And I would encourage you to go in and check this no matter what your content is, because we all have different specialized fields, and a lot of times it's not going to catch those specific vernacular words that you would use within your field. So you need to come in and check this. It does do a pretty good job, even with those of us that have Southern accents. It does do a pretty good job of catching that and being able to do the speech to text pretty well. But those nuanced words, those professional industry words, you may want to check especially. And if let's say there was a problem here, um, and I needed to change this, then all I would need to do is select it. And now I can come in and I can change the content. I can type it in and hit save and it will update. Now, obviously, I'm not going to change that, so I'm just going to edit undo and we'll get out of that. You can also change the timestamp when it appears, things like that. And it's pretty easy to kind of look at and identify those things. So I'm going to back out. We'll cancel because I don't want to change anything. Close. And let's look at this video. Yeah, as I said, it has captions on it. and I'll show you how we would toggle those captions on off. So we'll play the video, and here's your captions on and off. And you can play around with that. Right now, there's no customization that you can make on this. Canvas actually does have something on their roadmap um, where the end user, so your students, can actually make this larger if they need to. They can actually move the position around a little bit. That's on their roadmap that they announced at the beginning of this year. So I don't know a timeline, but they are going to make this even more robust. It is currently ADA compliant, but they're going to give students or any end user a little bit more options and flexibility where they can play around with those settings. All right, do we have any questions before we move into the next part? Okay. So let's talk organization. So we've went over how we would ingest our media and how we get different ways of getting content in. Well, let's look at different ways that we can organize it. Um, Canvas does what's called course collections. And if we wanted to create a collection, let me get to, let's just go into this course. So if I'm within my course, and this is everything that I've got added into this studio training course. So if I wanted to organize things, clean things up a little bit, what I could do in one second. I have to do this from the My Library setting, from the global setting. There are some things that you can only do from the My Library level, not from the course level. So your My Library is your content that you have saved in Studio across all your courses. So no matter how many preps you teach, how many courses you have, this is going to be where you will see all of that content. If you wanted to get into a specific course, we would go course collections. And this is my training shell. I've got another one that is a sandbox for just admin work. And then this is one for one of the courses that I'm assigned to. So we would be able to organize at those levels. If we wanted to create another type of collection, think of it like a group, then we would do that from the My Library. And what we would do is we can do collection. And I see I've already got one named C1, so we're going to call this C2. And think of this like a group. So I've got a collection created. There's no content in it. So now I'm going to go back to my library. And let's say I wanted this social work video to go there. I can click the 3 vertical dots and we can show move to, and we can select a collection to move it to. So I can move it into a specific course, or I can move it into one of these groups that I've created. So for this, I'm going to move it to the group. And the reason you may want to do this, if we were recording everything at the global level, and that's perfectly fine, we may say, well, this one I also, I don't want it to be in my biology 101 course. I want it to be in a higher level course, and yeah, I can change which one I'm I'm going to use it in. And then when I'm in that course, I will only see the videos associated with that course. So I could do that. Or if I'm working on something topical and these C1s and C2 could represent a topic that I'm working on, maybe a certain research topic. So I'm also going to move this one into here. We're going to move this one into C2 as well. And now we've got both of these that are moved here. So just a way that we can do different levels of organization and kind of keep our content cleaned up a little bit. Now, if we get into it and we say, well, I really don't need that course at all or that collection at all, I can delete, but know that if I delete it, and it's going to give me a warning, it's the only reason I did this, deleting this collection will permanently remove it and all of its contents from Studio. So I would want to be sure that if I delete a collection that I don't need any of the content that's in it. And if we find we didn't need the collection, but we do need that content, I can always move it back out. So I went into the collection, go to the video, hit the 3 vertical dots, move to, and I'm going to move it back to my library, which is the global level of organization. So move to my library and move. Now I'm going to go back to my library and I'm going to delete both of these collections because we don't need either of them. So click the vertical dots and hit delete, and there we go. All right. So do we have any questions about organization, either from the courses level or collections level or anything like that?
Hey, Bobby, this is Kelly Painter. How are
Yes.
you?
Hey, doing well. How are you?
Doing good. I have a question about students. Does
Mhm.
Studio have any kind of feature where students can upload videos at JSUs and where they can see each other's? I've been using Microsoft Stream for that purpose,
Mhm.
but I think, Stream always seems like it's on the verge of, are they going to get rid of it? I don't know. So I'm saying, like, does this new studio have that feature where students can create videos and also see other students' videos in some kind of a repository? So I know they can make individual videos public, by sharing a URL, but I mean more
Mhm.
kind of like what you have on your screen right now, where they could go to a central repository, see all the other students' videos in the class, and then just click on the one they want to watch.
Okay. So let me break your question down. So for one, yes, students can record content into Studio. Um, Students will see Studio at the global level as well. And then if you have Studio enabled in your courses, they can also see it here. So students can record things there. Also, and I'll show you this in just a moment when we set up how students would access content that you created. Um, let's say I'm creating an assignment and students have to upload a video submission. Studio is one of those options that we can choose for that video submission upload, and we'll talk about that. Now, for the collaborative side, where they could see like a repository, um, they do not have a way of seeing a repository like this. However, what I would do if it was something where they needed to see work and comment back and forth on it, I would do video discussion board. So students can create a video using Studio, put it in a discussion board, and then students will be able to comment on it, interact with it, things like that from there. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. And
Okay.
I don't want to hijack your thing, but do you have any comments about Microsoft Stream? Is it gonna have a future?
Um, I I don't know. I do know they continue to tweak it, and I'm like you. I'm really not sure on where it's going with that. Personally, if it's me and I'm using it for class, I would use Studio just because Studio seems to be a little more integrated. Even though we do have that Microsoft integration as well, I just from using this a lot, I feel like this is more streamlined because it's an instructor product as well. So students should have a little bit easier way to navigate it.
Okay, and I see Chris typing in the chat, so maybe he'll weigh in, but thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome. All right. Do we have any other questions here before I move on? Okay. All right. So we've talked about how to create content, and I mentioned a little bit um, on how students could interact with that content, but let's go in detail on how we may want students to access it. Rather, we want to create a page or an assignment or something like that. Because right now, um, we are in a faculty role and we have just created this content and students don't have any way of seeing what we've done currently. So let's step back out. Let's go to the modules page. So I'm going to throw it in this video module And again, this is just a test shell. It's starting to look more like a file dump. I'm sure your courses look more organized than this, but this is just for training purposes here. So let's say I just want students to look at the content and it's just informative. I'm going to go into the module. I'm going to create a page. And we'll just create a new page, and this is just going to be for information purposes. So, and I see I've already got a video information, and because I lack imagination, we're just going to do video information too here. So, got this created. All we've done is create a Canvas page. Everyone here knows how to do that. Go into it, edit. Now I want to put studio content into it. If you're familiar with putting Kaltura content into it, then this is really the same workflow. We'll click this little plugin icon because it looks like an electrical plug. So plugin. So we'll click that, and I think mine only shows up like this because I've used both of these recently. If not, you can still access it through the view all. But we'll click Studio, which it's named and it's got the little squiggles. I have seen it render in some ways where Studio is its own icon up here. And if it is, if yours displays that way, then you'll see the little TV with tentacles coming out of it. So we'll click this, go Studio. Takes a second to load your library. Now, that organization that we just talked about, this is where this is important as well. So we can look at it from the My Library level. We can also organize it down to courses if I know I'm in a specific course. And for this one, I'm in my training course. So I only want to throw content that I'm using for training that's in here. And for those of you that are observant, which I'm sure you all are, we'll talk about what this little rocket ship means in a little bit. So for right now, we're just loading a video that we want students to see. It's informational only. So we'll select it. We can choose rather not to display media tabs. Media tabs are things like comments and stuff like that. If you want students to be able to see that or comment on it, then you can have this toggled on. If you don't want that, you can turn it off. I'm going to leave it on for right now just so you can see what it looks like. All right, so we do that, and we're also going to do embed. Also notice, and this is easier than Kaltura as well, if you want students to be able to download the content, it is easy to click in a toggle button. If you don't want them to, then leave it disabled. All right, so we'll embed, and now our studio video is present here. Now, those media tabs that we were just talking about, students will be able to see this, so they can do comments, see details of the video, things like that. We're going to go ahead and we'll do a save and publish. And now this is what it would look like. Just for fun, let's click student view so we can see what it will look like for the students. So they lose the captions and the insights and things. That's just more for you on the faculty side, but they do see details and they do see comments. They can comment on the video. They would see a string of content on the video. This would be another way if you wanted students to interact with a specific video, you could do that as well. This is not tied to the grade book though, so this would be more for like participation. If you didn't want them to see this and we turn that display tabs off, then this will go away and you will just see the video only. So let's leave student view. So that's the way that students could interact with a video just from informational purposes. Let's also look at how we could create a video quiz. Before I move into video quizzes, does anyone else have any questions on just students interacting in media tabs and things like that? Okay, so let's jump into video quizzes. We will go back to Studio and we'll create a video quiz. And that's what the rocket ship means. As I said, those of you that were already wondering, the rocket ship means that it has a video quiz tied to it. So and that's why we see this in duplicate everywhere. This is actually a video quiz instance on these. So we're seeing it duplicated. And when I go to add a video quiz for the students to actually interact with, you won't have to choose from all these. It'll be a drop down, and I'll show you that as well. So to create a video quiz, as I said, that there are some things that you can only do from the global level. You can't do from the course level. Video quiz is another one of those things. So we're talking about creating custom collections. That has to be done from global. Video quiz has to be done from global as well. So let's click the hamburger menu at the top and My Library. My Library is your global level. Now I'm going to one we'll go ahead and grab this because that way we can see ones that have multiple instances of a quiz and how that would work. So I'm going to grab this one and we're going to make a video quiz out of it. And instead of selecting the video like I did in error, we're going to click the 3 vertical dots and we're going to go quizzes and see it already has a quiz. I called it SW quiz because it's social work video. We're going to do another quiz. So we're going to do SW quiz 2. And you may want to do this in the wild, so to speak, in your actual courses in a live course, because you may have the same content. Let's say you teach a 101 and a 102 of a class, or you teach something that's sequenced, and maybe you want to have the video, but you want them to pay attention to certain areas of the video on their second watch through when they watch it in the second part of the class. And that may be a reason that you would use the same content. Or you've just created a quiz and then you don't like it, and before you completely throw away the first one, you want to create another one and get feedback from that before we delete it. So that may be why you want to take the same type of media or the same media content and put 2 quizzes on it. So for this one, do SW quiz 2. And my description is going to be the same. Yours doesn't have to be. Now, this hide question markers from students, that would be when we see it on the timeline. And if we have this off, the students don't know where the questions are coming. Maybe you would want to do that to kind of encourage them to watch the whole video. So they wouldn't be able to just click and answer the questions through. All right. So for this, I'm going to actually leave it turned off. That way we can see the bubbles and we'll be able to go through it for training purposes. So get started. Pretty straightforward how to design quizzes in Studio. If any of you used video quizzes previously in Kaltura, you would know that there were some bugs about the way that the questions were. They could not be so close together. The questions also were not, you could not make the questions at the very beginning or the very end. You had to have so much cushion, things like that. That's not been an issue with Studio, and we've talked with product about that, and they said they've not noticed that as an issue either. And we haven't noticed it through our testing. So let's say though I wanted to put question here. Now there's a few ways we could do it. We can just play through, we can watch it and then say, oh, I know I want my question here, or we can click and decide where we want our question to be. So do that, hit the plus button. These are the options it gives you. So for this, you don't have like a short answer option. It's just going to be limited to these 3. That way the computer can grade it. So if we're doing this, and I'm going to be super creative, and this is going to be question 1, and that's actually my question. And then here's my answers are going to be A and B, and yours will be more substantive, I'm sure. So anyway, so here are my answers. I can choose which one is the right answer. And then we can also change these. We can vary the options, shuffle choices. You can choose question feedback as well, and you guys can see what the students will see. So if they get the correct answer, you can enter a comment, and incorrect answer as a comment, or just general regardless of answer. You guys could do that. So that one's your multiple choice. We can come down here. We might want to add a true false. And choose which one. Again, question feedback is there as well, and hit save. And you would just add as many as you needed through here. And we'll hit done. And now we have 2 quizzes that are off of this one copy of social work intro video. Now, if we wanted students to interact with it, there's a couple ways that we can have students interact. Let's go back up here to our modules. If we wanted students to interact with the video and we're not worried about linking it to the gradebook, I'm going to throw it in this module 1 here. So this is going to be a video quiz without linking. All right, so I'm going to throw a new module, and then we'll do page. All right, so this is just creating a page, and it's a video quiz. Students can interact with it, but it's not going to link to the gradebook. And we would do that the same way that we just added the video to a page, except there is another option that we're going to select. So we'll go My Library, and believe this one is embedded in here in this course collection. Yep. So here's my copy course, and we see that this is actually showing me both of my videos, but you may be at this point and think, well, I don't know which one's which. That's okay. Because remember, this one has 2 video quizzes associated with it. So I can choose standard embed or video quiz embed. And this is where I can choose which quiz I want. So here's my initial quiz that I created in another training presentation. Here's my video quiz 2. And that's the one we just created. Now we embed it, and the students can interact with it there. So if we save and publish, obviously we make sure that our module is published as well. And then this would give the students the ability to interact with the content. And we did not tell it to hide the questions, so the students know where the questions are. Now, this is a video quiz. This would just be informational purposes, and it's not linked to the gradebook. Now, I'm going to show you the other way that we would link the video quizzes directly to the gradebook. So I'm going to come in here and graded module, or a quiz module, and I'm going to create an assignment. It's an assignment, not a page. And it's also not going to quizzes, which I know may seem counterintuitive. So we're going to create an assignment. And this is video quiz grade. Now I'm going to go into that assignment I just created, go to edit. Now, instead of embedding it here, if we embed it here, it will not link to the gradebook. So we don't want to embed it here. We can give it a point value. And under submission type, and there's other things that you guys are probably familiar with this way, using the submission type as well. So under submission type, we're actually going to make it external tool. We'll hit find, and I'm looking for studio, and I don't see it. So let's see. I think it's because I thought it was called Canvas Studio. Apparently it's just Studio. You would think I would know that by now, but I didn't. So there's Studio. And now, again, I can choose which organization I want. If I choose at the global level or at my specific course level or collection level, I can define it right here. But I'm going to come here to this social work video. It's one we just created, the one we've been working off of. We can go video quiz embed, and I want to embed video quiz 2, the one that we just created. Embed, hit select. Now, you will have nothing here, but once we publish it, and you'll be able to see the video, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Before I step out and do a save and publish, and you guys see what it looks like, actually, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back to this one part. So this kind of finishes what we talked about, preparing the quiz. We had still worked on it. We had just completed it a minute ago, but it will be there. You'll see it populate once it completes that. I do want to point out something here. Under submission type, or allowed attempts rather, notice I didn't change this. You can limit it. However, there is one bug here, and we have made product aware they're actively working on a solution for this. If no matter how many attempts that you require or limit students to, they can take it as many as they want. Now, there's some ways that you guys could still enforce that. One, we would only encourage you to use video quizzes for low stakes assignments. Maybe it's just to ensure that they have watched the content. And if that's the case, it really doesn't matter how many times they watched it, as long as you've known that they watched the content. That would be the way that we would recommend you guys using those anyway. If you are using it for a different purpose and you really do only want to take the first attempt, only allow one attempt or 2 attempts or however many, what we'd recommend doing is put an until date. So maybe the students only have a week to watch it, or 48 hours to watch it, or however you have your course set up, and they have a limited time that they can watch the content. And then it goes down, the assignment goes down, they can't access it anymore. You can go into the student individually and check what they made on each attempt if you wanted to do that. So let's say it was higher stakes. You gave them 24, 48 hours to watch it, but you didn't trust that one student really made that grade by only watching the video one time. You could go into that student's assignment and you'll be able to see the number of attempts, and you can see what they made on each attempt. So I realize it's a little bug. However, it's not insurmountable to work around, and product is actively working on a solution. Our team here has talked directly with the studio team, the studio product team, not just Canvas tech support, and they're actively working on that and are aware of the issue. So do we have any questions about video quiz, linking to the grade book, creating them, students accessing them, anything like that? Do you guys lose me for a moment and I'm back now?
I did, but I
Yeah.
can hear you
Okay.
now.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, my computer started making a random noise, and I thought, maybe I should check that out. I'm connected wirelessly, and apparently the wireless network that I'm connected to decided to not be connected anymore. I'm still screen sharing, and I was connected to this one, and there was no internet, so I had to jump over to this one. Thankfully, it was an easy fix. So, all right. And I don't know the last thing you heard, but does anybody have any questions about video quizzes or anything like that before we move on? Okay. All right. So last couple things that I want to look at is let's go into Studio and we're going to talk about annotations. So as I said, I'm sure all of you are very observant people and you notice this little rocket ship, which means quizzes we know now. This one means that the video has annotations tied to it as well. So if we wanted a video, we wanted students to watch it, maybe we wanted to set reflection points, or maybe we wanted them to think about a certain thing at certain points in the video. We can come here and let's click in here, and I think we can do it from here, and I apologize because we're going to need to do it from the My Library. See, every time I think that it's something that I can do at the course level, I have to do it from the My Library level. So maybe if you guys can do that, then you'll be a step ahead of me and you won't think, oh, why don't I see it here? If you are ever in a point and you are not seeing an option that we discussed, then it's probably because you're not at the global level at My Library, because that's where you have to do the bulk of your editing. Videos. You can create videos at the other area. You can assign them into pages and quizzes or pages. If you already got a quiz created, you can put it into a quiz, but you can't create them there. So if we wanted to annotate a video, then again at the My Library, click the vertical dots, go annotate video. And it's very similar to how we added video quiz. So if I wanted to come right here, click the plus button, and I can decide what the note's going to be. I can say, think about topic. You can embed links, even make it accessible by putting a display text and not having a long strung out URL right here. But you can embed links as well. And this is how the students would see it as well. So as they're watching the video just stops. And the students have to see this note that you've created and click continue before they continue to watch the video through. Now, students can interact with that the same way that we've already done. You would build a page if we're just talking informational purposes. So we would be in our modules, have video information, and this one may be one that I've already created that has annotations, and it does. So this was a video. We've already stepped through the embed process. There's no need to show you guys how to do that again. Let's go student view. And I think this is annotations. This is probably going to be a video quiz just because I'm trying to do it this way. And yep, it's annotation. Good. So then the students would click, they'll see this annotation, hit continue, and then now the video can play. So that would give you a way to kind of interact with the students a little bit through video content without without having to do synchronous teaching. Right, so that's how we can create annotations, and we'd embed it the same way. The last thing I want to cover is how we do basic editing. So we've created content, we've shown how to get content in, how students can interact with it, how we can make our content accessible. So we've covered a ton of ground in a short amount of time. The last thing I want to talk about is editing. This time, I'm not going to say that I can do it from the course level because I'm going to finally remember that I have to do this from the global level. So let's say we've created a video, and maybe the very beginning of the video we stumbled, but we did really good the rest of the time, or maybe the very end of the video we stumbled, or your cat walked across the keyboard or something like that, and you wanted to try to cut something out. Know that these are very basic editing tools. This is not like Premiere or professional editor or something like that that maybe some of you have used. These are basic editing tools. So let's go into video that we want to edit, hit our 3 vertical dots, and edit media. and this opens our video editor. I'll let it load just so there's no potential little quirks. Now, if I wanted to just trim the head or tail of the video, the beginning or ending of the video, we just hit trim. And notice it put this bounding box around my timeline, around the media on my timeline, I should say. And I could just click the beginning and drag it in, click the ending and drag it in, and this will cut the video off. I'm going to discard. One thing I didn't mention, before you do this, what I would recommend doing, and I'll actually step back out and show you guys how to do that. Before you go in to start editing a video that you know is mostly good, what I would recommend doing is click right here and let's see. I was looking for the copy of the media. Let's see that media. What I would recommend doing is copying the media. And one of the ways that we can actually copy the media is to add it at both the course level and at the global level. So that way we make sure that we have one that we're working off of, that we know we're not going to destroy. So let's jump back in and let's edit media. And let's say we had something in the middle that we wanted to cut out. We can hit cut, and now it creates a bounding box here. And we can click and move and cut that section out as well. And we would hit confirm cut, and it will make our changes. If you're not sure exactly where you want it to cut at, you can hit the play button and move through your timeline, and you see your playhead is right here. So we move through our timeline and see exactly where we wanted to make our cuts at. You can also zoom in and out of your timeline as well to be able to get more precise information than this is 155 and this is 218. I can zoom in, I think all the way down to the second level or close to it, depending on the timeline. So this is at 5-second increments from here to here. All right. Do we have any other questions or anything? I want to check one thing while waiting. Do you have any other questions or anything about anything studio related at this point? And this is what I was referring to, by the way. And this is the one thing you do have to do at the course level. So I'm at the course level. I've got this social work video, and that's what I was saying, copy to both. So I'll copy to my library. I can tell it to go to my library or to go to another course. Let's say I just want it to go back to my library, and this is going to actually be copied to, and we hit save. Now we've got multiple copies of the social work video that we've created. And I know if I wanted to edit that video, then I've got one that's good and I can edit off the copy. So I've got this copy 2 that I just created right here. And then once I'm done with it, and let's say this copy 2 is the one I've edited and I'm good with it, I can always delete the original, and I can go in and edit this video after I've deleted the original and rename it. So that way it's not called copy. That way we're not working off something that we may potentially need. All right. Do we have any questions about Studio or anything that I didn't cover or I covered too quickly? All right. Well, that is all I had. If there's no other questions, that is it. And thank you guys for taking the time to join me. Sorry about the little internet issue there. Thankfully, we're able to resolve it pretty quickly. But if you guys have any questions about Studio or anything like that, that maybe you go back and watch this video, feel free to reach out to me, or, reach out to online. Yep, Chris put my email in the chat. So feel free to email me directly or email online at JSU. We'll be happy to help you guys in any way that we can. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.